This is going to be my Walking Dead Season 6 Episode 6 review and recap, Always Accountable. And somebody's going to be held accountable for taking Daryl's fucking crossbow and motorcycle. So this episode was all about Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham and what was going on during the whole busted attempt at the zombie horde evacuation. And it opens with them taking back off, heading toward Alexandria, and we see some group of people start shooting at them and they don't know who the hell it is. Daryl and them kind of get split up. He wrecks his bike. Sasha and Abraham take off, take care of who's chasing them, and Daryl ends up in the woods alone. And it looks like he got shot at first, but I think he just fucked his elbow up when he wrecked the bike because he was bleeding. But a cool shot here was after he got into the woods, he kind of just fell down with the bike. Ended up he was laying right beside a walker with a motorcycle helmet on. Could that be some kind of foreshadowing? Anyway, he sees this whole area that he's in the woods has been burnt to a crisp and there's bodies laying everywhere. And he comes across these two girls in the woods. We don't know who they are, and then he turns around, there's a dude there, and Daryl gets knocked the hell out.
You got knocked the fuck out, man!
So he comes to later, and this guy's got him tied up, and he's forcing him to walk along with him, and they don't really know what's going on. It looks like this guy kind of thinks he's part of some other group, perhaps the Wolves, but I'm thinking more like the Saviors from the comic books, as far as the group that this guy and these two girls think Daryl is a part of. We didn't see a W on anybody's forehead, so obviously they're not affiliated with the Wolves. So anyways, they come across this area where they were planning on heading towards. It looked like they'd been taken over by walkers, and everybody had turned. Some other people start coming up through the woods, and Daryl sees his chance and takes off and gets the hell out of there and steals their bag. So he gets out in the woods alone. He ends up pulling his crossbow out of the bag and kills a walker with it at the last second right before he gets bit, and sees that there's insulin in the bag. So one of the girls that he had just left and escaped from happens to be diabetic. So he does what he thinks is the right thing. He goes back and gives them the bag and swaps out the gun for the bag and this little statue of something this guy was whittled in the woods. And then this group of people who we don't know who they are yet, again, I'm thinking they're probably going to be Negan's group, the Saviors. He helps them end up escaping. There's some little banter about, you know, we took what was rightfully ours. So this seems to be some kind of code they were used to in this group. And then we flash back to Sasha and Abraham. They have been looking for Daryl. They can't really find him, so they decided, all right, that Daryl's a good tracker. They'll lead him to them, so they leave tracks and clues on the way, and they get kind of shelter in this building in this little town. And Abraham's been on this kind of psychotic binge the last few weeks, and he saw that in Sasha earlier where she was ready to just die and she was going crazy, and now it was kind of Abraham's turn. He goes out and finds himself a ex-military person who's a walker and decides to get up in his face and damn near gets bit, but then kind of pulls back. So anyway, he finds himself some RPGs and a launcher and some cigars and kind of goes back to Sasha and kind of finds himself a little bit, I think. And then him and Sasha had this odd moment where he says he wants to get to know Sasha a lot better, and Sasha's like, why the hell would you think that? And he's like, oh, you know, a man can just tell. So are we going to see a romantic relationship there? But I did like the quote that Abraham told Sasha in there when she was trying to talk to him about how he's acting and how he's kind of going crazy, and he says he's just having fun. He says, loose ends just make my ass itch. And I love that line. I think that was hilarious. And I agree with him, but at the same time, he is going out and doing stuff he doesn't need to be doing, unnecessarily risking himself. But I think this episode was about him coming back around and getting centered again and realizing that he needs to kind of let go of the past and move forward. So as it goes back to Daryl, he's now helping these people escape this savior group, I'm assuming. So they're hiding in the woods. These guys are looking for him, and he kind of makes some noise, and he kind of gets this guy to walk towards him, and there was a walker trap behind this huge rock, and he gets the guy bit. And this other guy comes up and just nonchalantly chops his arm off and says, get up, walk it off. And oh, the irony. One of the girls in the group that he was helping who had diabetes, who he took the bag back for, she ends up getting killed anyway after he essentially took the bag back and saved her life because she needed insulin. But they essentially end up escaping this group, at least for now, and then Daryl, after helping them, you know, and talking to him for a while, he seems to trust them. So he asks them the questions. How many walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed, and why? All the questions Rick used to ask people before letting them enter the group. And then, of course, they double-cross him and take his fucking motorcycle and his damn crossbow. When they were taking off on his motorcycle, she says, I'm sorry, and he says, you will be. We'll definitely see Daryl's crossbow again. I'm pretty sure. So he ended up finding the truck they were looking for, and he does end up tracking down Sasha and Abraham in the building. So presumably in the end of the episode, they're heading back to Alexandria, and he gets on the radio, Daryl does, and starts radioing for Rick to answer. And he gets some kind of interference there and something. He says, repeat that. And then we hear somebody say, help. Now, you really couldn't tell who this was. Of course, it is a radio, and there was some interference and that type of thing, but it sounded like the word help to me. Since we've seen what happened to everybody else during this whole mass migration event, we know Rick is back in Alexandria now. This is about that same time. So he apparently got out of the RV. Obviously, we saw that last week, got back to Alexandria. We know that Morgan was already back there, and we know what happened in Glenn the other week, but obviously there's something unfinished about that. So I'm thinking here that this could be Glenn on the radio saying help. And we know Glenn did have a radio in the last episode before he apparently died, if that is the case. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Do you think that was Glenn on the radio that said help? Do you think it was Rick, perhaps, you know, when he was still in the RV trapped? And do you think this group is the saviors from the comics, which will be Negan's group, you know, the big badass Negan who makes the governor look like a Boy Scout? So trying to keep this short and sweet, it was a pretty straightforward episode. We saw Abraham kind of get his wits back about him. He had that kind of scene on the way back to Alexandria in the truck as well, where he was looking in the rear view mirror, the side mirror, and kind of seeing what was behind him. So that's kind of symbolic of him kind of wanting to leave things in the past and actually move forward. The problem with that is, in this world, is once you figure out what's going on, usually you end up fucking dying anyways. What did you think of the episode? Do you think that was Glenn's voice? And do you think this is the savior group that Negan will lead? And I know we'll probably see him before the end of the season. Leave me a comment in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to get everything, and we'll see you next time.